my name is Gretch, and I wanted to do a welcome video to the Never Tox channel. I wanted to do this because I think it's important that viewers know a little bit about what our channel is about and what we're going to be doing. So yes, I am one of the writers behind the Never Tox site. I do the Instagram captions and the blog posts, and I do a lot of reading and research as well. And then there are a couple other gals that are also working really hard behind the scenes, in addition to just a large group of women that have been just immeasurable in helping us learn and teach us, have taught us things. We really wouldn't be where we are at with the Never Tox mission if it weren't for the collaborative effort of so many people. And so I just wanted to start off by saying that because it's really important, and we are so grateful for everyone that we have met in this journey. Okay, so we started Never Tox because we wanted to tackle multiple social media platforms to talk about a big issue, a big problem that's going on in our community and in our world today. And that is the dangers, I believe, imminent danger of using botulinum injections. And what I'm talking about is cosmetic use of botulinum, whether that be injections for, frown lines or the glabellar lines here, we call those the 11s, or crow's feet, or off-label usage. That's rampant as well, also very dangerous. And then, of course, don't forget botulinum usage medically, whether it be for chronic migraines. I mean, it's really been touted as the cure-all, the miracle drug. It's been being used in so many different ways, whether it be sweating or TMJ or eye spasms or overactive bladder. I heard the other day, I read an article that is now being used to treat depression. And so it is just becoming very quickly, in the last 10 years, I'd say, really the cure-all for almost every condition. And it shouldn't be. And that's what our page is going to be talking about. We want to educate people on the real risks of using botulinum. It's important to normalize the conversation about using cosmetic injections. We have found that women rarely want to admit that they've had them. They don't want to talk about using them. They're afraid of people judging them for using them. But we need to normalize this conversation because people everywhere are getting sick, and they are experiencing negative side effects to using these products, whether it be Botox or Xeomin or Dysport or the newest one, Jeuveau. And so I have been extensively studying botulinum for about 5 years, ever since my sister received a set of injections. It was her first time ever, and she became life-threatening ill within just a few short days. And at the time, we didn't know what was wrong, and it was a really scary experience for me as a family member to watch somebody go through that. And it affected me in such a way that I found myself just searching for any and all answers that I could. And I have been so fortunate to come into contact with the women that I have that have helped me learn and pointed me in the right direction to do extensive research. So botulinum. What is Botox, or what is botulinum? So botulinum is a bacteria. First of all, you need to understand that it is a bacteria, and it is present in many natural settings. It can be, in the soil or in lakes. It can even be found in the intestinal tract of animals, mammals, and fish. It is absolutely the most dangerous and lethal bacteria that there is. It is a gram-positive anaerobic bacteria, and as it grows and as it multiplies, it releases neurotoxins, the neurotoxin botulinum, and that is how Botox, cosmetic Botox products are made. And so, just to give you an idea of how lethal it is, when we're talking about that, just to kind of give you an example, literally 0.1 milligrams could take out any human, 0.1. So you think of taking like a regular Advil tablet, and that's 200 milligrams. 0.1 of botulinum would kill you. And then 1 gram of the crystalline form of it would literally be lethal and kill 1 million people. So if that helps you get an idea of how toxic this substance is, I hope that helps. So in the cosmetic injection world, the way Botox works is that it disrupts nerve signaling, the nerve signaling process that make your muscles contract. And so in other words, what it does is it is causing your muscles to paralyze in your face. It usually doesn't take very long after a set of injections. I know my sister only had 30 injections, all located in her forehead area for the fine lines that she had there. And within 3 days, as the Botox had set, that was when she became very sick. So it causes the muscle paralysis, and it is said to be temporary, and it usually is. But I don't want you to think that it's temporary because the botulinum has somehow worn off. That's not really the case, and I think that is kind of what the marketing and discussions from people promoting these products want you to think, but that's actually false. The reason why the face, it only lasts 3 or 4 months is because your body regenerates and it actually regrows those receptors that were damaged by the neurotoxin. And so it's regrowth that happens in your body that ultimately causes the muscles to start working again. And so it does damage your body every single time it's being used. So the biggest question, and I think the biggest question probably that's typed in to YouTube the most is, can I get sick from Botox? Or can I experience negative side effects? Or has this ever happened to anybody? Because you go into your appointments and doctors, they really aren't talking about this. Your esthetician or your nurse practitioner, they might give you a big list, papers like this, and just hand it to you to read. And I think that on that initial visit, people are so excited about the potential outcome of what they're doing that they just skim it over. They really don't take the time to read it. And at least that's what I've been hearing from the many, many people that I've talked to. So what happens when you do experience negative side effects? Negative side effects are experienced because of toxin spread past the injection site. So what happens is, you might get some injections here in your forehead, but it moves past the intended area where it was supposed to stay. It can move either into the bloodstream, where it is quickly absorbed by your central nervous system, and then dispersed throughout your entire body. Keep in mind that botulinum is the most toxic substance really in all of the world. And so when it moves past the injection site, or where it was intended to be, massive consequences happen to your body. Let me share some of the reported side effects to botulinum toxin injections. Panic attacks, general anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, depersonalization, loss of emotion, confusion, irritability, brain fog, electrical zaps in the brain and other areas, sudden fainting, brain hypoxia, temporary paralysis, stroke, blurred vision, vision loss, dry eyes, drooping eyes, involuntary frowning, facial and eye twitching, involuntary body spasms, dry mouth, burning in the mouth, mouth ulcers, itching on the arms, head, or back, really itching anywhere, vertigo, heart palpitations, irregular heart rhythms, hair loss, loss of libido, involuntary muscle spasms, feeling of something crawling underneath of the skin, shortness of breath, forgetting to breathe, intense neck or jaw stiffness, pain and clenching, nerve issues, numbness in the hands and feet, internal shaking, loud ringing in the ears, blocked or feeling of fullness in the ears, tight feeling around the head, being nauseated, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach issues, severe constipation, paralyzed bowel, appetite loss, bladder issues, hormonal imbalances, dry flaky skin, sleep issues such as insomnia or early waking or inability to fall asleep, or general poor sleep, facial pain, extreme nerve pain, muscle atrophy, I can hear my kids in the background, thyroid dysfunction, and let's see, adrenal dysfunction, sensitivity to light, sounds, or any sensory stimulation at all, sensitivity to many medications, supplements, and foods. And this is not a complete list. This is just a list of the most common experienced side effects, and those who experience negative side effects may experience one of these, 2 of these, 10 of these, or many of these, as you will come to learn in subsequent videos. I want you to know that we are going to do our very best, me and the gals, to provide you with information, since there is none out there really like this, to help educate others about why you are taking a massive risk with your health when you decide to do botulinum injections. That I know who have suffered from toxin spread, most of them, if not all of them, never had any previous health problems before. Specifically, my sister, she was very healthy. She, was very active in her lifestyle. Did yoga, ate very healthy, very clean on a daily basis, and she literally went from being healthy and fine to just a few days later being extremely ill. We knew that something was wrong. We want to be a voice for, Never Tox wants to be a voice for those who have been injured by Botox or Dysport or any of the others. We want to be a voice for them, because you have to understand one of the reasons why you can't just type in Botox story on the internet and get a big list of stories is because typically the people who have been injured by it are so ill that they can't even, get up to go make themselves a sandwich, or they're just literally moving from chair to bed. They aren't leaving their house. They've lost their job. They've lost relationships. They have experienced all of these horrible things from being so sick that they can't, sit down and write a story out. It would take too long. It would take too much brain power. And so the stories that we have been lucky enough to receive are typically stories that are written after people start to regenerate and their body starts to heal. And so I just want to make sure that everyone out there understands that that is one of the reasons, and we are doing our best to collect. We are actively involved and engaging with people all the time, and we are helping them tell their stories so that we can bring them, back to why there are not more stories. Also, I think that there is a level, if I can talk right, a level of uncomfortability with people sharing their stories, because they might feel a sense of embarrassment. They might feel worried that they're going to somehow be judged, for getting injections. And we want to reframe that. We think that this conversation should be normalized. There are millions of injections being done every single year, okay, millions of them. And, we can't fault people for wanting to look their best and wanting to look a little bit younger. But in the same breath, you need to understand the risks that are involved. Just like anything else, you need to understand that, if I decide to do this, I could get sick, and these are the things that could happen to me. And I am from the camp that I just, I so desperately want people to accept themselves and the natural aging process for what it is, and that it is a beautiful thing, and that it's not something to fear, and that it's really something that we should embrace. And our facial expressions show the sum of all of our life's experiences. They show every happy moment, every sad moment, and those are memories, and those are things that that are unique to only us. And so that is what I am passionate about, and what I want to convey alongside of all of this warnings. I want people to also learn that we are allowed to age. It is beautiful and it is okay. There is one other really key reason why you may not be finding information on this, is because in the medical world, in the cosmetic industry as well, the side effects are dismissed. They are dismissed by injectors, nurse practitioners, doctors everywhere are simply not recognizing the fact that this does happen. We hear time and time again people that have gone to their doctor to report a negative side effect, and they say, I have never heard of this happening before. Okay, we've heard that so many times over and over again that it starts to get like, it's hard to understand. Okay, and you know, there are thousands of negative side effects that have been reported to the FDA, and that is public information. And so it's so interesting, you know, to hear that doctors all over the place just simply aren't recognizing, you know, toxin spread past the illness site, causing
injection site,
botulism, as a real illness. So that is something that we will dive even deeper into in the days to come. I'll conclude this particular video with sharing one story, our original story to Never Tox, which is my sister. And you can see that I did a Never Tox health update video. It was our very first video that I posted on the channel, and that's Heidi there. And this is her story that we actually released first on the blog. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you today, and I will leave it at that. Okay? Hello there and welcome. My name is Heidi. I'm one of the creators of Never Tox. I'm a survivor from Cosmetic Botox gone wrong. I am very glad that you're here. I hope that my story is of comfort to other people suffering or helps bring into light how dangerous Botox injections are. Botox truly is the most toxic substance on earth, and it should never be put into the human body. How I wish I would have known this 3 years ago. The following is my story. If you have any questions or you are a Botox survivor and you would like to share your story, please contact me and then I'll put the links below, but it's hello@botoxsupport.com. In March of 2016, I went with my friend to her Botox appointment, and since they were running a special, I decided to get it too. I didn't tell my husband because he was against it. I received 30 units for my 11s and middle forehead. I will try to bullet point my symptoms to save space here. 3 days after injection, tightening down the sides of my neck, pressure behind my eyes, and a sort of numb feeling in my jaw when I moved it side to side. Dull, achy sensations when I brought my back teeth together. 5 days after, I was home alone and went to the bathroom to look in the mirror because I felt my forehead set into place and the Botox take effect. Immediately felt a cold sensation like acid run down the side of my face into my neck. My throat felt like it was tightening and I couldn't swallow well. I sat down on the sofa and my heart raced so fast I felt faint. There was a crushing sensation in the center of my chest. I had tunnel vision. At this point, I believed I was having a heart attack, but didn't know for sure. So I called my mom and she sped over. I told her I had Botox 5 days ago, and she said, "That was stupid and unnecessary." Somehow those words in that moment took on so much meaning, and it was like my soul was screaming that at me also. I had a horrible, foreboding feeling that something was very wrong, and a loud buzzing sound was in my ears coming from inside my head. She drove me back to the doctor, which she called on the way, explaining my symptoms. When I arrived, my legs and arms were spasming in spastic jerking movements. The doctor listened to my heart, took my blood pressure, and said, "This is just a little anxiety. It's normal for some people with Botox. Your heart is fine. I'm going to give you a script for Xanax so that you won't care if your heart is racing. It will race, but you won't care." My mom had that look on her face, but took me to fill the script. Over the next 3 weeks, my symptoms continued to get worse and daily. Panic attacks, uncontrollable limb shaking, heart racing and palpitations, shortness of breath, unable to get deep breaths, the constant fear of not being able to breathe, and my throat closing, vertigo, mania, and depression with thoughts of wanting to die. An emergency room visit for stroke-like symptoms, detachment, and feelings of floating. My forehead would not if I rubbed it. 4 weeks post. Additional symptoms of sleep apnea, waking up gasping for air, night sweats, vivid nightmares, and hearing sounds upon drifting off to sleep as though they were playing through a speaker right next to my ear. I saw an internal medicine doctor who tested me for Lyme disease, MS, Guillain-Barré, Epstein-Barr, mono, lupus, cancer, AIDS, rheumatoid arthritis, or RA, and Hashimoto's. All negative. But my thyroid came back with slight elevation in TSH, about a 4.1. She didn't like the tachycardia and scheduled a sleep test, an echocardiogram, chest ultrasound, and heart monitoring. Then a script for a beta blocker, which I didn't fill. At this point, I was so afraid of side effects from anything that I refused to take medicine. I would cry when I had to swallow just an Advil for headaches. 6 weeks out, I decided to get serious about working out. I was going to sweat the Botox out if it killed me. I could not live like that anymore. I did 5 days a week at the gym with 45 minutes of bike riding and 30 minutes of strength training. I would walk in, limbs tremoring, and walk out dragging my legs because I could barely lift them. Increased urination and kidney aching. 8 weeks out, I had a fever with a rash. I was lethargic and no sensation of taste at all. This concerned my doctor, so we did further testing. My thyroid was now enlarged on the right side, and I had lost 10 pounds in a month. Thyroid levels hadn't changed, so she ran multiple virus tests. Positive for CMV, and that's, I could totally butcher this, but I believe it's cytomegalovirus. Megalovirus. Cytomegalovirus. And fifth disease. She believed these were picked up from my immune system being on the brink. 12 weeks out, nearly paralytic, getting up in the morning like a 90-year-old woman. I could barely lift my legs to step. Internal buzzing like the center of my bones were hooked up to an electrode. I also felt like I was wearing a bodysuit made of lead. Tingling in my right cheek and on and off numbness. Neuropathy, numb toes and legs. Headaches that felt like a fist squeezing behind my eyes. 4 to 6 months out, I had lost more weight and I had no energy or desire to live. I was so sad. I couldn't even read a book to my kids because my arms had no strength to hold anything, stir anything, brush my hair, or even take a shower. I also experienced what I think was a light seizure, an electric shock feeling inside my head, and the sensation of being out of control, yet completely controlled and pressed into the center of my body, without being able to speak for about 5 seconds. However, at the 6th month mark, I noticed a waning of these symptoms: neck stiffness, eye pressure, forehead nodding, and shortness of breath. So 9 months post, less frequent heart racing, down to weekly instead of daily, less tingling and numbness, mobility and strength returning to my arms and legs, better sleep, elevated outlook on life, better appetite and sense of taste, weight gain, slight movement in forehead muscles. 12 months, almost to the day, I felt an internal switch turn on, and it was as if the world got lighter and brighter. I describe it in the same way my friend who has clinical depression does the day she felt serotonin again through meds, only I wasn't on anything and have never been clinically depressed. I had the sense that my body was telling me she had turned a corner. She was succeeding in overcoming the toxin. There was now more good cells than bad. I know this is esoteric in a way, but I want you to know the whole story. It has been just over 2 years since I felt that switch. I continue to have phantom symptoms that rear up and surprise me for a moment before I remember that I likely still have Botox in my cells. She says, biologist dad confirmed this. And that certain things will trigger a release and my body will react, like upper respiratory viruses, caffeine, too much alcohol, gluten, and stress. Or the lovely round of prednisone needed for poison ivy that I caught last fall, which brought me out 2 mild panic attacks, the center of my legs buzzing, and body tremors, all of which I thought were well behind me. What I have learned: Botox did change me from the inside out. I was never an anxious person or introverted or depressed or questioned my sanity ever. But I do now. I even researched mental illnesses because I felt so different in my brain. I have to be careful what I eat and drink, and I hate it because I love food and coffee and wine. The alternative, though, is worse than missing out. So I am 95% declaf and gluten-free, and I'm working towards less wine in my life. I have accepted that I will have to age gracefully, as my grandmother did, Yet I still have days where it is hard to see all the beautiful 40-somethings on social media and in my friend group without wrinkles. I worry that I will be the only one aging and looking unattractive by comparison. I struggle with this daily and have a face cream mask peel addiction now. But I try to have a sense of humor about my own vanity. Then, perhaps the most important lesson of all is that prayer works in the mundane, but especially in the hardest of moments. I will finish my novel with this. My rock bottom moment was when I had yet another panic attack. My legs wouldn't hold me up. I was having vertigo, and I was supposed to take my daughter, then age 4, to a birthday party. We were very late, and I had promised her that we would go. I had let her down so many times while being sick. I was determined. I had made up my mind to get ready and take her, yet I was unable to walk. Forget about driving. I was bitterly angry and beside myself. I remember sobbing on the floor, face down, thinking I wanted to die. I started praying. I asked God to make me better. I asked God to make me better just for the day. Like normal, happy, chatty mom at a birthday party. Make me like I was before all this happened. Just for the day. For my daughter, I asked, please help me do this for her. And I cry every time I read this part of her story because I just remember how hard it was. That day is a bit of a blur now, but it shines in my Botox story like a beacon. My body with no symptoms, running in the grass barefoot, piggybacking my daughter and laughing. A feeling, a deep peace that I can't explain. I am beyond thankful for God in my life. Thank you for letting me share. I have never typed all this out. I hope my story brings one of you hope that things will get better, but slowly. I would never have thought that being so sick could bring good to anything, but if my story has helped, then it has. And that, folks, is why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. We want to share stories, and we want people to know that there is hope at the end of being injured. And so I hope that if you're interested in hearing more, learning more, and watching other people's stories that either I give or they send to us, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you again soon.